We have been waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it finally happened. For years, we were told that the multi-million-dollar deals, the Hollywood connections, and the global rebrand were just around the corner. But according to royal biographer Tom Bower, the dream is not just fading, it is completely dead. We are witnessing the total collapse of the Sussex narrative in real time, and it is far more brutal than anyone expected. While Meghan was supposedly preparing to be the next lifestyle mogul, Netflix was quietly pulling the plug, and the reason they gave is absolutely devastating for her ego. But that is only half the story. Because while Meghan's Hollywood ambitions were imploding in California, Prince Harry was in a London courtroom doing something that has never been seen from a senior royal before. He wasn't just testifying, he was arguing with a judge, contradicting his own story and eventually breaking down in tears. What I am about to show you exposes the gap between the fantasy narrative they sell to the world and the harsh reality they are actually living. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why Tom Bower says they are finished. Let's get into it. Let's start with the news that has Meghan Markle absolutely furious. For months, there has been speculation about her big comeback, the cooking show, the lifestyle brand, the attempt to become the new Martha Stewart. It was supposed to be the project that justified the massive paycheck Netflix gave them. But the numbers have come in, and they are worse than anyone could have predicted. We aren't just talking about a flop, we are talking about a statistical catastrophe. According to the data revealed by Tom Bower, Meghan's show With Love, Meghan didn't just underperform, it was practically invisible. In the second half of 2025, the show ranked number 217 on Netflix. Let that sink in for a second. Number 217. There are YouTube channels filmed in basements with zero budget that get more engagement than a production starring a duchess. The show scraped together about 2 million views in 4 months. In the world of streaming, for a celebrity of her supposed stature, that is not just a failure, it is a humiliation. Even the holiday special, which usually guarantees a viewership bump, only managed to drag them up to rank 1,500. It is embarrassing. But why is this happening? Why did a show with millions of dollars in backing fail so spectacularly? Tom Bower says the answer lies in the one thing money can't buy: authenticity. Audiences in 2026 are incredibly sophisticated. We can smell fake from a mile away. And it turns out viewers took one look at this polished, scripted, artificial presentation and tuned out immediately. Tom Bower's investigation into the production of this show reveals some truly shocking details about what was happening behind the scenes. He interviewed the people on the ground, the producers, the crew, the people who had to deal with the demands, and the picture they paint is of a woman obsessed with vanity rather than content. We are told that Meghan insisted on shooting scenes over and over again, not because the recipe went wrong or the lighting was off, but because she didn't like how she looked. Real cooks, the ones we love to watch, like innocent Ina Garten or the savvy Martha Stewart, prioritize the food. They tie their hair back. They get their hands dirty. They focus on the craft. Meghan, however, apparently treated a cooking show like a high-fashion photo shoot. She refused to tie her hair back, leaving it flowing perfectly for the camera, which anyone who actually cooks knows is the first rule you break in a real kitchen. But it goes deeper than just the hair. The entire setup was a fabrication. The mansion they filmed and rented, it wasn't her kitchen, it wasn't her home. The rustic beehives rented props. And perhaps the most painful part to watch was the friends. Bower reports that the guests on the show looked terrified. They were awkwardly shuffling around, clearly barely knowing Meghan, forced to act out a friendship that didn't exist. It was a performance of a life, not a life itself. And when you try to sell warmth and relatability, but offer nothing but scripted cold perfection, the audience revolts. They didn't hate watch it, they simply didn't watch it at all. This brings us to the most savage revelation from Tom Bower. He claims that Netflix executives actually realized their mistake years ago. He states that within the first 6 months of signing that $100 million deal, the executives looked at the footage, looked at the pitches, and realized something terrifying: Meghan Markle has no talent. Bower didn't mince words. He said, "It turns out she's not any kind of talent. She has nothing to say. There is no originality, no profundity." Netflix kept the deal alive because they were desperate for the royal secrets. They wanted the connection to the monarchy, the gossip, the drama. They were hoping for a documentary about Princess Diana or a tell-all about the king. Instead, they got a woman moving pretzels from one bag to another and arranging flowers in a rented house. It seems Meghan is suffering from a massive delusion regarding her own status. Bauer suggests that in Meghan's mind, she is the new Diana. She truly believes she has inherited the glow of her late mother-in-law. But Diana's magic came from her empathy, her naturalness, and her ability to connect with the broken and the hurting. Meghan's approach, according to these reports, is entirely about the self, how she looks, how she is perceived, and how she can monetize the title. Netflix tried everything. They gave her top producers a huge budget and total creative control, and she still couldn't deliver a hit. But if you think the situation in Hollywood is bad, just wait until you hear what happened in London. While Meghan was dealing with the collapse of her Hollywood dreams, Prince Harry was in a London courtroom effectively setting fire to his own credibility. He was there to testify in a lawsuit against the publisher of the Daily Mail regarding phone hacking. Now, regardless of what you think about the British press, what happened in that witness box was shocking to legal experts and the public alike. Harry didn't just give evidence, he got into a verbal brawl with the judge. This is unheard of. A witness's job is to answer questions, not to debate the legal process. But Harry, seemingly unable to control his temper, started arguing. Not once, but 3 separate times the Judge Justice Fancourt had to intervene. The judge literally had to tell a prince of the realm to stop acting like a lawyer and start acting like a witness. At one point, the judge had to remind him, "It is the job of your counsel to argue the case, not you." It gets worse. During the cross-examination, Harry was caught in a humiliating contradiction. The defense asked him about a specific article regarding a pseudonym he allegedly used, Mr. Mischief. Harry appeared to fib or at least contradict his own previous statements about using this name. When you are in the witness box, your credibility is everything. If the judge thinks you are being evasive or untruthful about small details like a nickname, your entire testimony is compromised. Harry looked rattled, defensive, and completely unprepared for the rigor of a real courtroom where his title couldn't protect him from hard questions. But the moment that really exposed the core of the issue was when Harry started crying. In the middle of the proceedings, his voice cracked, he began to weep, and he delivered a line that has since been plastered all over the news. "They have made my wife's life an absolute misery." On the surface, this sounds like a devoted husband defending his spouse. But when you look at the facts of the case, this statement reveals a deep, almost delusional level of confusion. The trial was about phone hacking that allegedly took place between 2001 and 2013. Meghan Markle did not enter the picture until 2016. She wasn't there. She has nothing to do with the claim. Yet Harry cannot separate his past from his current narrative. He is so consumed by his relationship with Meghan that he is trying to rewrite history to include her in events that happened over a decade before they met. Tom Bauer argues that this is proof of how deeply Harry is under Meghan's control. He can't focus on his own case. He has to make it about her. He has to play the savior. But the optics were terrible. Here was a prince flying 5,000 miles to London to cry about his wife's misery, while his wife, the supposed source of this misery, couldn't be bothered to join him. She was back in Montecito posting on Instagram and attending events. If the situation was so dire, if the misery was so acute, why was she not there holding his hand? The backlash to this courtroom appearance has been swift and brutal. The public is finally calling out the staggering hypocrisy at play here. Harry stood in that court and complained that the media has commercialized his private life. He demanded privacy. He demanded that his personal boundaries be respected. This is the same man who wrote Spare. This is the man who sold a book for millions of dollars that detailed his brother's circumcision. He wrote about losing his virginity in a field. He published private text messages between his wife and the Princess of Wales. He revealed his father's medical issues. He sold out every single member of his family for a paycheck, and now he is standing in court demanding legal protection for his own privacy. The internet is undefeated, and the comments section on this news was savage. One comment with thousands of likes read, "If Harry wanted privacy, he shouldn't have released Spare." Another simply said, "Court is for facts, not feelings." People are seeing right through it. You cannot monetize your family's secrets and then play the victim when the press takes an interest in yours. It is a double standard that people are no longer willing to accept. But the collapse isn't just happening in courtrooms and corporate boardrooms. It is happening at the dinner parties they desperately want to attend. Tom Bower reveals a fascinating shift in the social landscape. Hollywood A-listers are actively avoiding the Sussexes. You see, in the beginning, everyone wanted a piece of the royal fairy tale. Oprah, Tyler Perry, the Clooneys, they were all there. But now, the phone has stopped ringing. Bower points to a specific cringe-worthy attempt by Meghan to claw her way back into the inner circle. He reports that she has been trying to befriend Jennifer Aniston not by approaching her directly, but by trying to network through Aniston's boyfriend. It's a desperate roundabout maneuver that reeks of social climbing and Hollywood elites talk. They know that being friends with Harry and Meghan comes with a heavy price tag: your privacy. These celebrities have spent decades guarding their own secrets. They look at Harry, who sold out his own brother and father for a book deal, and they think, if he did that to his own blood, what would he do to me? The terrified friends we saw on the cooking show weren't A-listers. They were people who had to be there. The real power players, the ones Meghan needs to sustain her lifestyle, are engaging in what commentators are calling a mutual ghosting. They aren't just indifferent. They are treating the Sussexes like radioactive material. This social rejection seems to be fueling an even deeper psychological issue that Tom Bower calls the Meghan Spencer delusion. We need to talk about the jewelry. Bower highlighted a specific moment that perfectly encapsulates this obsession: Meghan appearing at Kevin Costner's 805 Live charity event. She wasn't just there to support. She was decked out in over $300,000 worth of jewelry, including Princess Diana's iconic Cartier watch. According to Bower, this isn't an accident. It is a calculated costume. Whether she is in Colombia, Nigeria, or a parking lot in Montecito, the publicist's strategy is always to highlight Diana's jewelry. The goal is to subliminally force the public to see Meghan as the reincarnation of Diana, the Meghan Spencer figure who inherits the people's princess mantle. But here is why this strategy is backfiring spectacularly. Diana wore those jewels while holding the hands of AIDS patients walking through minefields and comforting the grieving. She used the glamour to shine a light on others. Meghan, by contrast, is wearing the same jewels to film a cooking show where she worries about her hair or to pose for paparazzi shots in parking lots. The visual cue is there, but the soul is missing. Bower argues that the public finds this cosplay not just transparent, but deeply disrespectful. You cannot wear the costume of a saint while selling out your family to the highest bidder. From royalty to bookmarks. Perhaps the most embarrassing evidence of their brand's collapse is the actual products they are trying to sell. We went from modernizing the monarchy and global humanitarian change to selling strawberry jam and bookmarks. You cannot make this up. Tom Bower referenced the absolute absurdity of their latest business ventures. Meghan's lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, launched with a jar of jam sent to 50 influencers. The labels were peeling off. The presentation was amateur, but it gets worse. Reports indicate they are planning to sell bookmarks with slogans like, "Fell asleep here." Think about the trajectory here. Harry was a captain in the British Army. He represented the Queen on the world stage. Meghan was a working duchess. Now they are essentially reduced to selling flea market trinkets to pay the bills for a security team they no longer need. This isn't just a business failure. It is a branding catastrophe. It signals to the world that they have no big ideas left. They have no service to offer. They are just throwing random low-value products at the wall, hoping to monetize the last scraps of their royal association before it evaporates completely. And this leads us to the final dark prediction Tom Bower is making about their marriage itself. He notes a distinct shift in how they are operating the professional separation. Notice how we are seeing less of Harry and Meghan. As a unit, Harry is traveling to London alone. Meghan is launching her brands alone. Bower suggests this is a survival tactic, but also a sign of deep fracture. Harry, according to sources, is reportedly missing British culture and finding himself increasingly isolated in their Montecito fortress. The fantasy narrative was that they would conquer the world together. The reality is Harry testifying in court about misery while Meghan stays 5,000 miles away. The slow ghosting isn't just happening with Netflix. It might be happening between them. If the money dries up and with the failure of the cooking show, the failure of the jam, and the potential loss of the court case, it is drying up what binds them together. The us against the world glue only holds when the world cares. When the world stops caring, the silence in that Montecito mansion must be deafening. So where does this leave them? According to Tom Bauer, the Sussexes are in serious trouble. The cancellation of the Netflix show isn't just an ego blow. It's a financial disaster. They have massive overheads. The security, the travel, the PR firms, the mortgage on the Montecito mansion, it all costs millions a year to maintain. And the income streams are drying up. Spotify already dropped them. Netflix is slow ghosting them, meaning they likely won't renew the deal or greenlight new projects. The book money has been spent. Bauer claims they have burned through a significant portion of their earnings on failed projects and in lavish lifestyle. This explains the desperation we are seeing. The sudden return to Sunshine Sachs Meghan's old PR firm. The attempts to get close to A-list celebrities like Jennifer Aniston, who reportedly wants nothing to do with them. The bizarre product launches like strawberry jam and bookmarks. These are not the moves of a power couple at the top of their game. These are the moves of people scrambling for cash flow. The tragedy of Harry and Meghan is that they had everything. They had the platform, the money, and the global attention to do incredible work. But they traded it all for a fantasy narrative where they are the eternal victims and the world is the villain. Tom Bauer predicts that the end is near for their brand. He believes Netflix will quietly sever ties completely within the year. He predicts Harry will lose his court case, potentially facing millions in legal fees that could bankrupt them. But perhaps the worst punishment of all isn't the bankruptcy or the court loss, it's the indifference. The public isn't angry anymore. We are just bored. The numbers for Meghan's show prove it. We have reached the saturation point of their complaints, and the world is simply changing the channel. What do you think is going to happen when the money finally runs out? Will Harry wake up, or is he in too deep? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.